Now, bringing you the very best in New Hampshire-based local music on IPMNation.com and 100.1 The Planet, this is Local Outbreak.
And we've got Sean McCarthy joining us right now via Microsoft Teams. Hello, Sean.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
Good, good. It has been a long time, my friend. When did I interview you last? Do we even want to think about how long ago that was?
We don't, because then it starts to,
You're right.
break to tell everybody we're not 25. But it was a bit. I think I had just finished recording a record in L.A. And
yep.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
That was a while ago. Yeah, there's a little speck of audio that shows up from that in the documentary, which I'm dying to talk to you about. Resilience and Sacrifice. And when did this come out, or is this out yet officially?
So it's officially out. It came out last year. So it was the film festival release was early 2025.
Okay.
And then the screenings in the theaters was spring, summer, and then I guess spring and summer, and then it kind of officially came out around November of last year.
Okay. And can you describe it for us? I mean, how do you, for someone who hasn't seen it, obviously I watched it, but for someone who hasn't seen it, how do you describe what this is about, Resilience and Sacrifice?
Well, there's an official write-up about it, but the short version is it's about an artist who, well, myself, who toured relentlessly for years, and after missing the first 3 years of my daughter growing up because I was on the road, I just it was kind of an awakening to realize what are the priorities in life right now.
Right.
So through that, I made this decision to not quit music altogether, but seriously put it on hold, and zero regrets with that. But then when I decided I was going to get back into it, kids had grown up. I had jumped back in, done some shows, and then it alludes to my getting what's called muscle tension dysphonia, which if you're a singer, that's one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Yes.
And it comes on with no warning, and what it does is you can't sing anymore. You can speak,
right.
You can't sing anymore. So it goes through that process a little. It's certainly not the entire focus of the film, but it's a big part of it. A good note, came through that.
Yes.
But it goes through my music career, pretty in depth. Doesn't touch everything. There are a lot of bands and projects I worked on that didn't make it, but it hits the highlights. You got to kind of cram it all into a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to tell our story in, 3 hours, but who's going to watch that?
The muscle tension dysphonia do I have that right? Dysphonia?
Yes.
That was particularly, there's a number of elements here that I want to ask you about that were interesting to me. That part was interesting to me because not only, obviously, like you said, if you're a singer, that's kind of your worst nightmare, something like that happening to you. But it was also interesting to me because I don't know if you know a gentleman named Mike Laughlin. Do you know Mike?
The name is very familiar.
He's a singer-songwriter from the Lakes region here in New Hampshire, and he's a very close friend of mine, and he's been on the show a million times, and we've done some work together. But Mike also suffers from that. Now, and he's talked about it on the show, his last couple of appearances on the show, he's talked about it and managing it. So when it gets to that point in the documentary, I was like, oh, I know somebody else who has this. And so it was interesting to me, because I've heard how he's dealt with it and how you've dealt with it. Unfortunately, the way Mike has dealt with it, and I don't think he'll mind me saying this because he talked about it openly on the show, obviously. But he has not, maybe he needs to get connected with Liz Bills, who you talked to in the documentary about, her struggles with it, because he has chosen to just kind of deal with it. He manages it the best that he can. He doesn't book too many shows consecutively, to try to give himself a break. But he also said that whomever he spoke to about it professionally told him that, it tends to be, and I want to get your perspective on this, that it tends to be more psychological than anything else. There might be something in his subconscious rather, that is causing him to experience this dysphonia where he has difficulty with his vocal cords. He's still able to perform and he can go out and do a 3-hour show. He just can't do too many. But he's been struggling with it for probably 5 years now. Maybe not. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say that in my experience, it is 100% psychological or neurological.
Okay.
Because when it happened to me, it happened in a single rehearsal.
Really?
With my band, I was warmed up just like I normally do, plenty hydrated, and then all of a sudden we're doing a song, and I'm just singing. Well, I may have been sharing leads in that a particular song, and kind of opened my mouth, and everything was dry, and you can't like form vowels, consonants, or weird. It was just in an instant. It just took over. So it is something that's in your psyche that you can't pinpoint what it is. You may never know what it is, but I've been a singer my entire life.
Yeah.
And thousands of shows and night after night after night. And one of those things where you never even need to warm up because you're just always singing. Mm-hmm. Never ever had a problem. And then when this came on, it was that's the cause, right? But you don't know what the specific cause is because it can go back a long time. It's kind of your brain is just going, it's great that you have all these plans, but you haven't dealt with some things, and I'm not going to tell you what you have to deal with, but instead I'm just going to stop you in your tracks. It's, I won't equate it to, people having heart attacks or something. Same kind of thing. Usually you get some warning with that, or you're eating terrible or whatever.
Sure.
But with MTD, you don't know exactly what the cause is. But it is important to deal with somebody and bring somebody in that has experienced it. Liz Bills is a singer, but she was in the band, New England band. I think they were. I'm pretty sure a Massachusetts band. They were called Analog Heart. Mm-hmm. And I actually discovered them after working with Liz. This band was phenomenal. Very, she's listening, I don't know, but very Paramore-ish, but with more of an edge. Just this girl could sing her butt off.
Yeah.
And they had released some records. They had opened for Bon Jovi, I think at Mohegan. They had done some great things. And the way she told it to me, it was a little different. She had pain and she was struggling, and she just kept pushing through. And she had worked through it all herself. And I found her online, and she had this hour-long daily routine, and I was just like, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me! I just don't have that kind of patience." But it takes that kind of patience. So Liz and I currently don't work with Liz now, but I did for two solid years. We met every week, and prior to that, Mark Baxter, and Mark is a phenomenal coach. Steven Tyler's coach, Johnny Resnick, just the list goes on with who Mark works with and has worked with. Yeah. But I needed somebody that had experienced this, and Liz is the person that had experienced it. So yes, I would highly recommend that he reach out to her. She's fantastic. She's wonderful. If you hear her sing now, you would just never know she experienced any of that. Right. But it requires, I think a lot of us from a certain era were, power singers.
Sure. Yeah.
Meaning we may not have done the right techniques. And I think Liz had said to me once, she goes, it's like, you lift things a certain way. You always lift things, and one day your back goes, you can't do that anymore. You have to do it differently. And that happens. I mean, Liz is not old, and she was not old when she got MTD. It had nothing to do with that, but it was, you have to retrain your voice completely, to use complete proper technique. You have to really take care of it and accept baby steps, because when you're break an arm or something, it happens in a second, it takes 6 weeks to heal, right? With something neurological that affects your voice, there's a lot of time into it. You've got to be able to be willing to put the time in.
Right.
And,
right.
It is humbling. It is frustrating. I played a couple shows like that after. I knew it was coming on, and I had played a show at a venue, and and I'll be frank about this. This is not something you'd normally admit, but I'd played this venue, and I remember somebody. It was across the street from a concert venue, and the crew was all over there, like on break, and I played a show there, and I remember some of the guys coming up and going, "What are you even doing here? Like, why are you playing this little venue? You should be playing here." So that's always nice to get. But
sure.
My point is, so then I played that same venue the next summer after this happened, because this happened in the fall of that year.
Okay.
So I come back a year later to the same venue, and I was like full blown MTD. And what that means is my intention's good, but I open my mouth and the vowels and consonants don't connect.
Yeah.
There's such a disconnect with everything. It doesn't sound good. And my agent called me, texted me the next day and said, "So the venue owner wants to cancel your shows and replace you."
Oh God.
I literally, it went from phenomenal, good show, to the venue owner doesn't want you back.
Wow.
And in my entire career, that had never happened to me. And then
was that kind of a turning point in terms of how you decided to deal with the problem, or?
Well, at that point I still didn't know. I still didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So then I played another venue, and he called me. I remember I was like at band rehearsal, something. I was in Rhode Island, and I did this show, and he goes, "Hey, I got another call." I went, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "But this time I asked him, I said, 'What is it?'" And so the venue owner said, "We love Sean. He's been here. He's done great for us. His guitar playing's great." He goes, "There's something about his voice." And then I kind of came clean to my agent, and he's amazing. And he said to me, he goes, "Okay, listen." He said, "Okay, listen, we're going to, you tell me what you want to do with your next shows." He goes, "I'm not going to say a word about this. Whatever you do, I'll come up with an excuse." He goes, "Whatever you got to do." But I didn't know what the problem was at the time. I just kind of came clean to him and said, "Look, there's something going on. I don't know." It was shortly after that I just started researching, and I went to an ear, nose, throat doctor up in northern New Hampshire, and it was during the time when everybody was afraid of breathing everybody's anything.
Yep.
And so she comes in the room with like full mask gear on, right? Scopes my throat, and she goes, "You have acid reflux," and that's what she told me. I went, "No, that's not what this is," right?
Yeah.
So she goes, "But you're welcome to get a second opinion." And I went, "Where do I do that?" And she goes, "Mass General." So I went, "Okay," and it was like, and she was kind of, I think she was being facetious, because they're the best. Mass General's Voice Center is the best, hands down. So I went, "Okay." So I get home and I call Mass General, and speed that up. I went down. They said, "You don't have acid reflux. You have this, and we can help you." So I was there for a few months. I drove from Vermont to Boston every week.
Wow.
For some therapy at the Mass General, and we had some good breakthroughs, kind of broke the ice. And then I started working with Liz, found out she had been to the same voice center. We had the same therapist.
Oh, okay.
It all really helped, but it was very humbling. It's still very humbling I always knew how fragile the vocal, people call them vocal cords. Well, they are cords, but they're called vocal folds.
Yeah.
And if you haven't ever seen your vocal folds, everybody should take a trip to an ear, nose, and throat specialist that can take a picture, or better yet, take video of you while you sing.
Right.
And people say, "Well, how do you do that?" They scope you through your nose and they have you sing. It's the strangest thing ever. It doesn't hurt, but when you see how fragile those things are, you just want to put a big, case around your throat and take care of it, and then you don't question why you wrap it up with a scarf in the winter. It's kind of a scary thing. So back to the other guy who you're saying has this. If Liz is phenomenal. I highly recommend her. There are probably some others, but she specializes in it. And she could get him on the right track. And if he's willing to do the work, it's so worth it. But because it's a mind game itself, taking away what you've done your whole life, with ease that you all of a sudden can't do.
In his case, he described that he never learned to sing properly, so he doesn't sing from his chest. He just sings from his throat. That's how he's always done it. And I guess the professional who he spoke with told him that because he's a throat singer, that might be why he's gotten away with this problem as long as because I guess this problem has been plaguing him for a while, but he kind of, he's just been working around it. And I guess because he's a throat singer, that's how he's been able to work around it to some extent. I forget exactly how he explained it, but no, very, very interesting. Now, where are you with all of that now? Is this something that you have to continue to manage, or do you just take better care of your throat, but otherwise you're good?
Well, that's the thing. Doesn't matter how much you take care of your throat. That's not really it. It's like going to the gym now. I hate working out. I hate working out more than probably anybody you've ever met. But I work out every day. And not to build muscle, just to stay in shape, to stay toned. And you have to do the same thing with your voice. There are certain exercises, very strange ones, that you probably don't want to do in front of strangers or much. I try not to do them in front of my family, but there are things. You hold your tongue and you make weird sounds. It's about doing the certain exercises regularly that just keep your voice in shape and don't let it fall back there. But the other thing is you have to deal with the psychological aspect of it. That is important because you can keep refilling, a bucket that has a hole in it, right? Because in a sense, that's what you're doing. If you don't deal with the psychological aspect or neurological aspect of it, you're refilling a bucket that has a hole in it. Every day you have to refill that bucket, and it's good for, say, 24 hours. At the end of the day, it's going to empty. You've got to fill the hole. And I'm not a big fan of talk therapy. I don't like to share things with strangers. I think that is ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. I know it's great for some people. It's just not great for me. I have a trust issue, I think.
I can relate 1,000% to what you just said.
But there are therapists out there. They're wonderful.
Absolutely.
Props to them for doing it. I feel, I'm the type of person that thinks about a therapist and goes, oh, wow, like how many hours a week do you have to go to therapy to deal with it you've dealt with every week? Therapists are amazing.
Yes.
But it's not my thing. And I also don't have the patience. So I have another friend who had gone to see an EMDR therapist. It's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes.
Sorry, it's long. So EMDR is for short.
Yeah.
And so he had told me, I knew him. He told me about this, and he said I was like crazy suicidal, and that was just not me. I don't know what happened. He goes, so I went. Somebody told me about this therapist. I went. She saved my life. I don't even know what it was. And I said, well, he explained it to me. And I said, well, how long did it take you? Because I saw her, I don't know, 6 or 8 times, so 6 or 8 hours, and done. And I was like, well, maybe this can help me. I wasn't suicidal, but it was also about you're dealing with something neurological. And he said, you don't have to talk about anything. So I saw an EMDR therapist. We hit it off, meaning I was very comfortable with her.
Yeah.
And she said to me, when I was on the phone talking to her initially, she said, there is no guarantee that this will work. She said, but I will tell you, I have done nothing but this for the last 4 or 5 years. She goes, and it has worked for 100% of my patients.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, I no guarantees, but pretty good.
Those are good
ratio.
odds. Yeah.
So, and what it does is where talk therapy, you sit down and they go, tell me about your childhood. Like
Right.
you got to start way back there, and you just see this lasting forever.
Let's talk
And
about
EMDR
your
works
mother.
backwards.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, oh, my mom did this. But with EMDR, you literally focus on. So when with EMDR, you get up to a microphone, for instance. Like it only happens when you sing. That's the strange thing, right? But if in the case you get up to a microphone and you go, all right, I open my mouth, and then right then, what are you thinking? What is on your mind in that exact moment? So you focus on that. You focus on being in the moment, exactly how it makes you feel. And then it's bilateral stimulation. Usually it's like with a light. Your eyes follow it back and forth.
Yeah.
Almost hypnotic, but not.
Yeah.
And if you just at that point don't think of anything else, then your brain takes you backwards through all these memories that are somehow connected. It doesn't make any sense, but you will remember things that you didn't even know you remembered. So what that really is your brain connecting. It's reconnecting all of the things that somehow got disconnected. And the therapist just tries to touch on certain things that pertain to how you feel when your voice doesn't work.
Right.
And it's trauma response, right? That's really what it is. So something traumatic happened to cause muscle tension dysphonia.
Right.
So that was a huge additional support for me. It also brings to light a lot of other things, so you're always a work in progress. But for me, it just required completely retraining my voice. Like I don't sing anything like I used to sing.
Really?
You were talking about his voice being like kind of a throat singer.
Yeah.
Like the truth is the air comes up through our vocal folds, right? But then and how close together, how they are, but the actual sounds that come out of your mouth, right? So what you do with your lips and your tongue and your teeth and like that's where the sound comes out. Like there's a sound that comes up through your vocal folds, but what the end result is all about what you do with your face and your mouth.
Right.
So without being a trained singer, we just naturally do it. A toddler makes sounds, right? They're very natural. It's all if we could all go back to being toddlers, this would all be fixed because it was so natural. You dance while nobody's looking, or you don't care if anybody sees you.
Right.
It's so natural to sing and make all these weird sounds. And if we could get back to that as singers, or at least that portion of it, we'd all be in a better place. We're doing things proper because it's natural, but it becomes very unnatural over the years. And, things we go through in life compound. And then one day your brain shuts off. So even though you can fix the physical aspect of that through daily, routines and things like that, your brain is still holding on, and you have to get your brain to let go and be comfortable again and accept that, okay, this is safe to do again.
Right.
It takes a lot of undoing, and it is, again, I'm the least patient person in the world. But so where am I with it now? I still put in the work. Mm-hmm. There are still things I work on. Songs that even my own songs that I've sung for years, I have to sing them differently.
Yeah.
You have to erase the muscle memory and the neurological memory. You have to trick your brain to go, because it wants to go back to the way it was, and you can't do that anymore. So anyway, that's a lot on the MTD subject, but it's an important thing because I think a lot of people don't know that a lot of people are not diagnosed.
Right.
They just don't know what happened. So
by
all means, if you are a singer or even not a singer, and you have voice issues like that, like go see an ear, nose, throat specialist. Even any one of them are at least going to look at your throat, make sure your vocal cords are good. And then if you find out that is kind of a thing you have, look it up. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much online. Look up Liz Bills. Very simple. I love her name because it's so simple.
Yeah.
And she has countless videos, and I believe she only works with vocalists who have MTD.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of coaches out there, but she specializes in that. But she helped save my career. And I can say that with confidence.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing all that, Sean. It's such a, and it kind of expands a bit on what's in the documentary. And I appreciate you talking about that, because there might be somebody listening too who does experience that problem, or has experienced it, or may experience it in the future. A lot of musicians listen to the show, especially. So thank you for talking to us about that. Another thing about and I should say, if you're just joining us, we have Sean McCarthy with us, and we're talking about his new documentary, Resilience and Sacrifice. And another thing that really jumped out at me about the documentary is, let me ask the question this way. Have you always been, right from the beginning of your career, which obviously started when you were still in school, have you always been meticulous about documenting things and making sure that you had audio and video of things from the beginning? Because something that I just marveled at was, I was just thinking, like, if I wanted to make a documentary like this about myself, I wouldn't be, not that I would, but I wouldn't be able to do it anyway, because I don't have, I played in some bands and whatnot, but I don't have video of, early performances or anything like that. Like, have you always been meticulous about documenting everything?
No. So this project started, I thought initially, I said, it would be really cool. So I spoke to a friend, and I said, what would be really, I said, I want to do a 25 or 30 minute video scrapbook of stuff I've done in music. I said, I've come across a couple videos, and I have, some recordings. I just want to put something together. I think it would be cool to have for my kids, and whatever, just something. And he said to me, and actually it was Matt Dido, our mutual friend.
Yeah.
And so I said that to him on a phone call. We kind of started out the phone call that way, and he goes, "Oh yeah, kind of like sounds great." And he goes, "Listen, I'll call you back in a little bit." Click. And he just let me go.
Yeah.
It was weird. 5 minutes later, I get a call from Matt's and my mutual friend in LA, who's a filmmaker. And he goes, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "I don't know. What's up?" And he goes, "Well, Dido just told me to call you." I was like, "Oh." So Tommy Durant is a filmmaker, Emmy Award winning in his work. So if you saw shows like Ice Road Truckers, Deadliest Catch, Dan Rather interviews, and so much more. He has been the supervising editor and of those, producer. Worked on a whole bunch of things. So anyway, I knew I had a lot of stuff. It's funny. I used what I had creatively, and it probably looked like I had a lot more than I had.
Okay.
But I'm not meticulous. Other than my wife, hating the fact that I hold on to every cassette recording that I've ever made.
Yeah.
And she's like, I move this box around, and she's like, "Can we get rid of that?" And I'm like, "No." So I don't usually keep all that. Well, I have that stuff. Everybody has a scrapbook of things, pictures and things.
You got to keep some sort of an archive. Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing was, there was one. So no, I don't have a lot. I have a good amount. I couldn't imagine that this was ever going to turn into a full-fledged, documentary film.
Right.
But there was one thing I wanted. So, right, you had sent me, like, the nice thing is you record these interviews, right? So and you sent that to me, and I went, I know I have this somewhere.
Yep.
And I listened to them, and I wanted to include so much more, but then I decided, look, let's just put in like some radio introductions and things here, and then I had found one that really fit what I wanted to do. But there was one clip that I said, this is so important, because in the duo Johnny Whatever I was in, which we were at the time on the cusp of some really great things. Yeah. And we had played so much. It was a unique thing. It was we had a song on the radio all over the place, and then Kiss 108 in Boston picked it up one night. Yeah. And we were like, what? But They called me. They called me up and said, "Hey, is this Sean?" And I went, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, we have this song Goodbye in front of us, and we're about to put it on our new music spotlight." I went, "What?" Like, this is if you're a musician at that time, Kiss 108 in Boston, keep in mind, there's no streaming services. This is big in New England.
Right.
So they said, we don't normally call the artist because, for instance, last night was, some other huge artist and tomorrow is this other huge artist. He goes, but I just thought I'd let you know. So I was like, all right. So I grabbed some boombox and I record it.
Nice.
So I have this cassette, right? Well, I do the documentary and I'm done. I'm basically done with it.
Yeah.
And it's been a year, every single day working on it. And I've been looking for this tape everywhere and I cannot find it.
Yeah.
And I know I have it. I even know what it looks like. But so I said, well, I guess it's not meant to be. I thought it was important in the film, but I went, I guess not.
Yeah.
And then one day my wife comes to me and she goes, I'm going to need like $5,000. I went, what? What do you need $5,000 for? She goes, because look what I found. and I jumped back into the editing of the film and I was like ecstatic because that was a key moment. But I don't know. I think the story is important, right? Like everybody goes, I don't have all this, footage or pictures because none of us carried video cameras around. That was for like the big bands who could afford that stuff.
Right.
But I will say right now, I will preface this and say, if you're in a band, if you're a solo artist, I don't care what you do. You're doing it because you love it. So who knows what you're going to do with it later? Who knows if you're not going to do anything? Who knows if you're going to want to do a 25 or 30 minute, scrapbook.
Right.
Like document it, get people to do it and get people to send it to you, put a date on it, throw it in a folder and forget about it.
And there's no excuse not to in this era.
Like just record it because even if you don't do something with it, it's amazing to look back and see what you've done.
Right.
So do it, take pictures and even if you don't look at them all now, just put them somewhere. That is kind of the biggest thing ever. But I kind of forget where my train of thought. But no, I didn't have all that, and I found a lot. But I also had, I think there's 16 people in this film with me or along with me. So I knew I had to fill space, and I went, "Why don't you, tell me about working with me? Tell me about your memories of me." And they were so wonderful. People, I half expected somebody to say, "Man, Sean McCarthy, that guy was a jerk." I couldn't work with him. And it's so nice that whether they felt that way or not, they only told the good stuff.
Right.
So
that's true.
But it was nice. But the one thing I will say, a lot of people will put out things and they say, we all name drop. We all have name drop stories where we say, oh, we worked with so-and-so or did this or did this. But one thing you realize quickly when people are going to watch things, if you don't have the receipts, don't even say it. Whether it's true, whether it's not true, whatever. If you don't have receipts to back it up, people are going to check out of your film really fast.
That's a great point. You're right.
Because I've seen some, they go, oh yeah, I was working with so-and-so back in, 90, whatever. And, and then you expect to see something showing that more than maybe a picture.
Right.
If you don't have that picture or the video or that person about to speak, don't put it in because it's the music industry is full of people telling stories. And,
absolutely.
And a lot of people do that to help boost them up a little.
Oh, of course.
And is it fine? I guess it's fine.
I mean, everyone puffs up their resume a little bit. Yeah.
Well, if you don't, who's going to, right? And initially you have to make yourself look better than maybe you are.
Right.
But here's the difference. The people that succeed are the people that throw some promise up in the air and then turn around to your band and go, hey guys, I'm really sorry. This is what I just told them we'd do. And they're like, what? So then so here's the successful people. They rise to the occasion. And at the end of the show, the buyer of the show just goes, man, you delivered way more than you promised. And and in your back of your mind, you're going, I can't even believe I delivered what I promised.
Right.
But because that's, and I don't over promise, but I always over deliver.
Right.
But the key is back to the receipts. Like if you're going to put something together, I don't care if it's a 5-minute clip of you. Have receipts, because then that's credibility, And in this film, I made sure, Tommy, my co-producer on this, was very adamant about that, and I got it.
Yeah.
So when there are things I wished I had. Back to your original question about do I have this, I don't know, back catalog of stuff and I store everything. No. So I had I had so many really great stories and actual experiences, but I couldn't back them up with anything.
Gotcha.
So they didn't make it.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but you handle it the right way. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's in the era that we live in, it's very easy for people to verify things and fact check and all of that. You're right. So, I mean, how long did this take? Because again, I would imagine, and I've interviewed other people on the show over the years who've made documentaries, and it sounds like it's a pretty involved process that takes. I mean, I'm assuming it was at least a couple of years, right, to make this. So,
I am overly ambitious.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever worked with me knows that.
Yeah.
And to a fault. So I thought, iMovie's cool, right? Let me tell you something. It is cool, but it will not make a certain level documentary.
Right. Right.
But I'm also one who says you work with the tools that you have, and nobody ever knows what tools you had if you're willing to work hard.
Right.
But I actually, so this took, it was, let me see, it was released last year. It was finished. So the film was ready for festivals at the beginning of last year, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
So if that puts into, say, January.
Okay.
So then go back, not a month ago, December, but the previous December is when I had that phone call with Matt about my idea.
So about a year?
It took me 1 year, but what I had to do in that year was this. I had to realize that iMovie was not going to be sufficient. I had to learn editing software. I chose DaVinci Resolve Studio.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw this out there. There's a free version. You just download it. It is amazing.
Really?
Film editing software. And I mean, amazing.
Okay.
Even the free version.
Wow.
If you want all the full functionality, it's like a one-time cost of, I don't know, $300 or $400 done.
Yeah.
And then you and I would dare say almost every studio that's making movies and television shows, they're doing all their color editing in that software.
No kidding.
So there are certainly other softwares to make your movies, and there's a 2 or 3 other key ones that are used. But so I had to think of what I was doing. I had to completely learn this software. I had to get all the interviews. I had to learn a whole bunch. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of got it done, and the first round, and I sent it to Tommy to view. And then he mentioned something called broadcast filters. And I'm like, what are broadcast filters? And when television was done over the air, if you sent signal that had too bright of a certain color,
yeah,
the tubes in it that it came in and broadcast on, you would overload them. They weren't made. They wouldn't display things, or you could kind of ruin your broadcast.
Yeah.
So you put a limiter. Basically, what you would do is you would limit the color. So I color corrected a little bit, and then I threw this broadcast filter on, and it all had to be redone. So I had to learn, and then I'm a music producer, so I knew audio, but dialogue and film audio, that's a whole other monster. So I'm making this film, and I'm learning all this stuff, and then in about a year, start to finish, did all that and had this finished film.
Wow.
It is a monstrous undertaking. You have to be overly ambitious, and I know there are other people like me out there. I know there are. But I see why it takes a crew. I see why things are outsourced, but I also see that when things are outsourced, they take a long time because you're waiting on other people,
and they cost a lot of money.
They do cost a lot of money for sure. But more than that, I'm not very patient.
Yeah,
I didn't want to wait. I'm like, rather than wait for someone else, I'll just figure it out myself.
Right. Which I admire. I respect that a lot about you. That's incredible. And it's important too, just for people who haven't seen it, haven't watched the trailer, don't know anything about it. I mean, this is a real documentary. This is a real film. This is not a YouTube video that you put together. This is the real deal. And it looks fantastic. It's very, very impressive. If you're just joining us, Sean McCarthy is here with us, and we are talking about his documentary, Resilience and Sacrifice. Was it hard tracking down any of the people who are in the film, or was it pretty easy to locate, or were there people that you wanted for the film who were not available?
So yes and no. Some of them I had to track down. Some of them I hadn't worked with in a while, and I'm like, man, I wonder if they even remember me.
Yeah.
And I must have made some sort of impact because they all remembered me. But then it's asking them to do, like, will you do this? And most said yes. And I am forever grateful because it is not fun there's a moment when you do that where you go, oh man, everybody's going to see this. It's one thing to give yourself a little, social media clip of you doing something,
right?
But to put yourself in front of a camera and talk, all of a sudden you almost realize what it is you're doing and what you just agreed to. And it's nerve-wracking. And I personally despise being on camera.
Do you?
Despise it.
Really?
But they so I appreciated that, but I had to do a little tracking down. And some people, yes, I asked an old friend of mine who's a drummer if he would, and he's a filmmaker himself. And he said, I don't feel comfortable being on that side of the camera. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, and I said, it's okay. I understand. And I said, are you okay with me using some archival footage? And he had actually said, only stills. And it was just because
really?
He didn't like seeing himself, and I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then I asked an old bandmate of mine who was pretty key in my career.
Yeah.
If he would do it, and he first said yes, and then he went through some stuff himself, and he said, look, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, and I didn't. Whatever his reason. He was going through some stuff. Maybe he had second thoughts. Maybe he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
And it was important to me because he was very integral part of the middle of my career.
Yeah.
So I touched on that whole story, and I'm like, man, this guy was great. And I made sure that I highlighted that. And there's a little thing in the film about him not appearing. It's and I think it says itself. But we work with a lot of people over the years.
Yep.
There were some people that I would love to have had in this film that I thought, well, they're way too big. They're way too famous. They're not going to do this.
Right.
And I didn't bother asking.
Okay.
And the truth is, some of them probably would have done it. Because again, my friend Steve, who kind of starts this off, I mean, we went to school together, but he's also had, top 10, top 20 hit. He's a phenomenal producer. So it was, I was so appreciative of him too, and then jumping forward to my, my current bandmates, like they were, a couple of them are in it, and they're just so great and gracious in what they said and being willing to do it, because again, it's kind of nerve-wracking, and then back to myself, not liking to be on camera. As you're editing this, you ignore that it's you, and you treat yourself like any other interviewee.
Yeah.
And that's the way you have to do it. And you're putting it all out there,
Yeah. So now that you've done this, do you have the bug to I mean, do you think you'll ever make another documentary, or are you just have you gone back to music and you're just going to focus on that? Because now, I mean, you know, you can do it. You know, you can successfully make a documentary. I mean, you know, sometimes you hear about people say, oh, I got the bug now. Now I want to do more of this, more filmmaking. I mean, where are you with that?
Well, I'm never one to say, hey, my new album's coming out next month. I don't tell you something's done until it's done.
Right.
I know a lot of, I know how that is perceived in a way. So I usually don't like to say, you know, what I'm working on, but I'll put it to you this way.
I get that. Yeah.
I threw something out at Tommy after. So Tommy Durant, again, who helped me with the film, very graciously, he basically was the supervising editor of sorts. He looked at what I did and went, that's good, might change that. You know, and we sometimes politely butted heads on creative, you know, ideas. And in that, I put the trailer together. And he looked at it and went, yeah. Well, it's good. It's a good start. And I'm thinking, man, if I sent it to you, it's the end. It's the result. That's me.
Gotcha.
Right? But not in a bad way. But when he said that, I'm like, no, I disagree. And he goes, no, I don't think it does the film well. And I'm like, man, that is the trailer, buddy. Like, I'm sorry. And it's still the trailer today, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's because I was like, this does represent it. And in his defense, he is a professional. He knows what works. What I was doing was not tried and true. It was a little more raw. It was different.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he was guiding me to say, look, this is what normally works for this stuff. And I'm like, let's just be a little different here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've made my career off of doing what other people don't, off performing songs people wouldn't normally do.
Right.
It has been resoundingly successful for me.
Right.
So as far as the project, I'll put it to you this way. I had an idea. I threw it by Tommy just before the end of this film. It was just wrapping.
Yeah.
And I said, I think this would be a good story. And he says, well, maybe that's our next project. And I went, our next project? What do you mean?
Oh.
You know, like, you want to work with me again on a serious level? So I'll put it this way. We flew to South Florida in February for an interview. We scheduled some other interviews. So do I have the bug? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And am I working on other projects? Yes, I am.
Good.
Are they, to me, 10 times better than this personal documentary that I did? Yes, they are.
Cool. Okay.
I am excited. I love the process. The good thing that Tommy and I have it's not in common. The good thing is he loves to shoot film, to get the interviews, to do the camera work. He loves it.
Yeah. And
I am like, nah, I think it's great, but I love to edit. Love it.
Okay.
He hates to edit.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a match.
You're a perfect team then. That's great. Yeah.
So I'm excited. I won't say, you know, when something's coming out. I won't say what it's about. I'll just say there's something in the works that we're really excited about. I definitely got the bug.
Wow, that's awesome. Good. I can't wait to see what comes next then. Excellent. Sean, the time goes so fast. It's already almost the top of the hour. I am going to put you on the spot though and say, let's not let another, 15 years, whatever it's been. Let's not let that much time go by before we do this again. Because I love talking to you. This has been wonderful. Before we start to wrap up with you, though, I want to make sure everybody knows exactly where they can find the documentary Resilience and Sacrifice. So the easiest way, so you can go to first resilienceandsacrifice.com. Okay.
Spell that out. That'll bring you to a couple streaming services. The streaming platform process is a bit, again, requires patience.
Yep.
People pick it up. Platforms pick it up when they want.
Yep.
You never know who's going to pick it up. So it's on a couple now, but if you go there, it'll bring you right to the trailer and where you can watch and all the IMDb and TMDb stuff about it. You can also go to my website, SeanMcCarthy.com. There's links there for it. That's probably the easiest, and that'll at least get you to it. At some point, it'll be out, on YouTube. We usually, I guess this industry standard is let it sit out there and be on platforms for a while before it gets to, YouTube or public Vimeo or things like that.
Yeah, that's my impression as well. So that makes sense. And anything coming up musically that we should know about?
So it's funny because this film is about my career, but it also does go into my I say new project, but the project I've been in now for 4 or 5 years. I'm the guitar player for the band Beautiful Wreck, based out of Rhode Island. It's a female-fronted band with a simply phenomenal singer, and I get to play guitar. And the band is so just great people.
Yeah,
we've been through a couple changes in that short time to navigate and to dial in what kind of a project we wanted to be. But it's very much a kind of a Paramore, Hailstorm, Evanescence, Pink mix.
Okay,
if that brings it together. We don't do all female songs. It's kind of cool when our singer Sabrina, rips out, just some heavy guy, song. She's just, it is what it is. But the project is great. It's doing great. We're Rhode Island based. We play like one venue in Rhode Island because we play throughout New England. We don't do tons of shows, but we're kind of more of a concert band than anything.
Okay.
So coming up, we have some really good shows. We play at, Bally's in Rhode Island, the casino. We're in Mass, I think, at another casino. We're not really a casino band, but Plain Ridge coming up. But we also just booked a show at the Met in Rhode Island.
Excellent.
Which is huge for us and for any band, really. So we're doing a full band show, but it's acoustic, kind of the MTV Unplugged thing. We're doing a couple sets, and we have a really good friend of mine, Keith Dennehy from Angry Hill, who's opening the show for us. It's funny, I hate asking friends to open because I feel like maybe that's a downgrade, but to me it's not.
Right.
Keith has been good to me, and my musician friends have been really good to me in the past, and I'm like, man, like if I can give a little back, I'd love to have him on the show. So he agreed to that. So I would say coming up, the Met show is probably the one we're most excited about, because it's a big deal to get in a venue like that.
Absolutely.
But we have shows in Vermont and New Hampshire and all over, but then Sabrina and I, the singer for the band, she was up here the other day, and we started writing originals. So we're excited to get on that as well.
Very good. Very good.
But, so that's the big thing going forward for me. My focus is really all there. And then, hopefully people get to see this film. Because I think that if you're a musician, you can relate 100%. You've been something I've done in this film, you've done. And there's no way this doesn't relate to you, because I relate to all those musicians too. Matt, I appreciate you always. Thank you for this time. I hope we can do it again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
And, I hope people watch the film, reach out to me. If, the streaming services it's on, I mean, it's not, some are free, some are not, but I want you to see the film. Shoot me a message. I'll make sure you see the film. However,
yep.
It's more important that you see it and not about me, but that you can relate to it. I feel like there's a lot of artists who have hit a point in their life where they go, man, I did this. I wish I could do it again, or I'd like to look back, or I just think it's relatable. I think that's the important part.
Yes.
But I do think, and Sunday Morning, by the way, I think it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
There's another version of this song earlier, and this is nothing like it. So I love the reworked version of this. And anyway, I appreciate this, Matt. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Sean. Thank you. We will definitely do it again soon. Sean McCarthy, thank you so much.